Today we are going to start with the another form of learning, and that is your unsupervised learning. So till this part, whatever we have covered, that all were part of your supervised learning. That means there is someone to guide you how to perform. So that things were there in case of your unsupervised learning. In case of unsupervised learning, basically in that case you are totally going to depend upon the data, and you are basically going to depend upon what kind of the information you are having in a data. So based upon that information only you are going to perform your task. So today we will see how, based upon the data, how we can perform our task. So that's means these things we are going to see. And in order to do this, we are going to cover this k-mean clustering and your hierarchical clustering. So basically in case of unsupervised learning, we are having many dimensions like your association rule mining is also there, dimension reduction is also there, clustering is also there. But in today's class we are only going to cover this clustering part. This is the agenda for today's lecture. So first we will start with the difference, what the difference we are having between your supervised and unsupervised learning. Next we will go with the motivation behind your clustering and what this clustering is exactly, so that we are going to cover. After that we will see some of the application which are related to your clustering. Next we will see your k-mean clustering. One variant of your k-mean clustering is your k-mean plus plus clustering, so that we will see. Next we are going to summarize this k-mean clustering using with the limitations of your k-mean clustering. For that is going to be followed by your hierarchical clustering. At the end we are going to summarize this whole presentation. Okay, so this part you already know. In case of supervised, we are having label example. Based upon the label, we are going to prepare the model. So this all things we have already covered. And the label could be your binary class, or it could be a multi-class classification, means a multi-class problem. But in case of your unsupervised learning, basically here you are not having the class label. Based upon the structure, or you can say the based upon the information whatever there in your instances, based upon that information only you are going to club it. Like suppose in all these, in both of these cases, the first one or in the second one, in both of these cases you don't know what should be the class label. You are only having you're having these instances only. Now based upon the information which is content in these instances, based upon that you are going to say that these sets of the instances is having some it's these sets of the instances sharing the same property, so that should be a part of your one cluster. And these sets of the instances are having the same characteristics, so these are going to be considered as a part of the another cluster. So this way we are going to do in case of your unsupervised learning. This supervised already we have seen having training data. Along with this you are you are giving the desired output. Based upon this you are creating the model. Once you are done with the model building, you are going to supply your test instance, and you are going to have the class label. But in case of your unsupervised learning, you are only going to supply your unlabeled data. Based upon your unlabeled data only you are going to prepare the model. Like this is the model. Means model basically here in terms of your clusters. So you are going to prepare the model, and now once you are done with your model, you are going to supply your test instances and you are going to get the result. Like here in this case you are getting the cluster 2. But in case of your in case of your clustering part, the cluster number is not that much important. The important is same type of the instances should be a part of your same cluster. Like suppose if I'm running this same thing a second time, possibly it's going to change into your 2, and this one going to change into your 1. So in that case the cluster number is going to be 1. So here the main thing is the cluster number is not important. The important thing is same type of the instances should be a part of your same clusters. And this same type of the instances, based upon the some kind of the similarity, or based upon the some kind of the distance measures, we are going to quantify the similarity, or you can say the difference between your given instance. These are the difference between your some of the difference I have listed here in case of your supervised and unsupervised. Like here we are going to provide your label data. It's going in case of your unsupervised, it's going to be unlabeled. and here you are going to means the prediction which you are going to make. So in that case also it's going to be the class label, and in case of a unsupervised learning it is going to be your cluster. Now in case of a supervised learning, there is someone, means basically these are representing the same thing. So basically there are someone to guide you, means there are someone to who is going to help you to train your model, or you can say the prepare your model. But here in this case there is no supervision, you are going to create or you are going to learn the model by your own. This if we consider this in terms of your AI, so this supervised is less close to your AI compared to your unsupervised one, because in here you are providing this labeling information, based upon that you are going to perform the task. But in this case it is truly going to be based upon the environment, you can say, or based upon the data you are having. Based upon that only it is going to it is going to perform its task. So that's why it's this one is going to say it's a automated one, and here you are going to perform the things somewhat compared to this one. It's going to be means somewhat going to be based upon the label. Okay. Now, in case of a supervised learning, we have covered both of the both these types, like youth regression. We have also covered your classification, also covered. Okay, so in your regression, we have seen linear regression and the variant of your linear regression. In case of a classification, we have covered decision tree and your logistic regression. The classification and association comes under in your unsupervised learning. So this clustering we are going to cover in more detail. Okay. Now the main main assumption if we say about your clustering is, so basically the assumption of your this not the k main clustering, the assumption of your clustering is similar kind of the data. That means the points which are having the same behavior, all those points should be placed at same place, means all of the points should be a part of your same cluster. Like suppose these are your sets of the instances. Now based upon the some kind of the property, these of the instances are grouped together. So this is representing your one group, this is representing your another group, and this way we are having different groups. So whatever groups we are having, so we are going to say that these sets of the instances are having the same property, so that's why they are going to be a part of your same cluster. Now the groups could be different in shape, they could be different in size, there could be a difference in the spread of your instances. So that we will see in your coming slide how we are going to quantify this thing. Okay. Now, as I said, in case of a clustering, it's totally going to based upon your instances. It is not going to, here we are not going to provide you labeled information. Like suppose here we are having the sets of the document. Like suppose your input is your sets of the documents. Okay, so these all are representing your sets of the documents. Now, based upon what the context of your document is, based upon the context of the document, I am going to club it. Like suppose this is just the random clubbing. These are the sets of the documents which should be a part of your one cluster, because they are covering the same concept. These sets of the instances should be considered as a part of the same cluster because they are covering the same concept. Now how we are in, if we consider this thing in terms of your document, then how we are going to say that they are covering the same context? Because the document which are belonging to the same domain, you can say, or same area, in that case they are going somewhat, they are going to share same kind of word. Like suppose if the documents are related to sports, so in that case the documents will have information related to yours, like the like some discussion will be there about your cricket, tennis, volleyball, or some discussion about the players will be there. But if the documents is related to your education, so if there is some new announcement related to your education, college, institutes, courses, students, so some these kind of the discussion will be there. So basically in case of your clustering algorithm, we are basically trying to formulate these kind of the discussion which are present in your data, and based upon that only we are going to create it. We are going to club it in your different sets of the cluster. So here your input, in case of in this particular case, here the input is going to be your document, and that no doubt here also you need to consider some kind of representation, like in the previous classes we have also seen, if you want to perform the if you want to use this machine learning for your task, so in that case you have to convert your data into a particular format. That means there is a standard format. In that standard format you have to convert it, then only you can apply your algorithm. So here your document is just the unstructured data, so that you have to convert into a structure format. After that you can create the clusters. So input is going to be your documents, that is in a processed format, and the output is going to be the cluster label, like in the previous case we have seen. Here you are going to supply the here you are going to supply your test instance, so at the end you are going to have the cluster label. Okay. One more thing related to your unsupervised learning is this unsupervised learning is known as your learning by example, sorry, learning by experience, because based upon the things which we have got, based upon the concept only you are going to create it, you are going to perform your task. But in case of your supervised learning there is an example, so that means this unsupervised how we can assign a new point to your given sets of the cluster. So for that, like suppose here we are having these three clusters, and now suppose if you are getting the another point, suppose the point is somewhere at this. So, so what we will do, we will calculate the distance of this point with this cluster also, center also, with this cluster center also, and with this cluster center also. Whichever is giving the minimum distance, based upon that we are going to assign it. We are going to assign this point to that particular cluster, and this color basically we are representing that these are part of your same cluster. So here we are going to calculate the distance of this point with each of the cluster center, and whichever is giving the minimum distance, I am going to assign the point to that particular cluster center. So we will see how we are going to do this. Okay. Now, this we have already covered. This clustering is basically based upon the clubbing of same kind of the instances in a same cluster. Now, whenever we are going to create the cluster, two things are important. So, first one is your high intra-cluster similarity, and second one is low inter-cluster similarity. If we are covering these two concepts, like you intra class and inter cluster, if you are considering this with respect to similarity, then the interpretation will be somewhat different. And if you are considering with respect to your distance, then in that case it is also going to be different. Like suppose if you are considering this in terms of your similarity, so first what this intra cluster is, intra cluster, that means the points which are part of your same cluster, and intercluster, that means the points which are part of your different cluster. Like suppose these are the points which are part of your same cluster, these are the points which are a part of your same cluster, and these are the points which are part of your different cluster. So the intra is going to be this, and inter is going to be this. So if we are talking about in terms of your similarity, so there should be high intra cluster similarity. That means the points which are placed in a same cluster should be similar one, and the point which are placed in a different cluster, in that case the similarity should be low. If we consider the same thing with respect to your distance, so it's going to be the points which are part of your same cluster, the distance should be minimum, and the points which should be which are part of your different cluster, the in that case the distance should be maximum one. So that the reverse way you can interpret this similarity and your distance. As I said, this is representing within a cluster, basically representing your intra cluster similarity, and the between is representing your inter cluster similarity. Okay, these are the some of the application of your clustering. These are the some of the application I have listed here. This is not the exhaustive list. So other based upon the concept which we have covered. So wherever you are finding this concept, at that point you can use this clustering algorithm. Okay. Now the first this we have already covered, like the document means the sets of the documents which are covering the same concept. So that should be a part of your same cluster. Like here we are having the software, web mining, we are having arrays of data, we are having Wikipedia, we are having, so these all are representing the same concept, so that's why they are part of your same cluster. We can also use this clustering in your product recommendation. So how we could do it, like the two customer, like there are two customer A and B, and we formulated that both of the customer is having same kind of the profile, they are having same kind of the interest. So the product which is liked by your liked by the customer A, possibly it's going to be liked by your customer B also. So that way we can recommend some of the products which were bought by this customer A to your customer B. Other this, in your medical diagnosis also the clustering could be used, like these are the sets of the patients, on that sets of the patients you are applying the therapy. No, based upon the reaction which this based upon the reaction which this therapy is giving to the means giving to these sets of the patient, based upon their reaction, based upon the effect, so you can club it into your different sets of the clusters. Okay, in your social media also you can have this clustering application in market segmentation, in your image, in your trend area analysis. So in all these cases you can use your clustering, because in all of the cases the basic concept is I want to create the group based upon their similarity. Based, it could be similarity, it could be in terms of your profile matching, it could be in terms of your same kind of the content, or it could be in terms of the same kind of purchasing behavior, same kind of effect. So based upon that we are going to so wherever, as I said, wherever you are having these kind of the behaviors, so and that in that case you can apply this clustering algorithm. Now this clustering algorithm is not going to be goody goody all the time, because the instances which we are having in a real world, possibly the instances, there could be some kind of overlapping in your in your given sets of the points, or in your given sets of the cluster, or the cluster are not going to be well separated, the clusters could have different shape and size. So these are major challenges which we need to take care whenever we are creating the cluster. If the clusters are well separated, equal sized cluster, so in that case it is not going to be a big problem. But if they are in different in shape, if they are different in size, different in spread, and different, basically the clusters are different in nature, so in that case the points are very different in nature, so in that case it is going to create the problem. Like suppose here in this case, in here in this case, basically you are having these sets of the cluster, in this sets of the cluster, in that case you are observing this structure. In this particular case you are having this small two cluster, and there are two big cluster. So these kinds of the structure could be present in your data set, so this is going to create a problem when we are going to create the cluster. So we will see some of the things, we will see how we could deal with some of the problems, so that we will see. Okay, so first we are going to start with your k-mean clustering. Now in case of your k-mean clustering, uh, uh, in case of your k-mean clustering, the basic concept is here, we are going to assign the point to your cluster center which is having the minimum distance, with which we are observing the minimum distance. Like suppose here in this case you are having two clusters, and here you are getting this point. So I am going to calculate the distance of this point with your cluster center 1 and your cluster center 2, whichever is giving the minimum distance. I am going to assign the point to that particular cluster. So this is the basic concept which we are using in case of your k-mean clustering. Now, whenever we are starting with your k-mean clustering, so two things which we need to decide before starting this k-mean clustering. The first thing is the number of the cluster. So that means the number of the cluster, how many groups you want to create, that we need to decide before actually starting before actually starting of your clustering. Okay, so here this k is basically denoting the number of the cluster. So once you decided the number of the cluster, based upon that number of the cluster, I needed to select some random point, and these random points is going to work as your cluster centroid. So this mu1, mu2 up to your mu k are basically different, uh, representing your k cluster center. So these all are your k cluster center. Okay, once you are done with your cluster number, once you are done with the cluster number selection and your centroid selection, next we are going to calculate the distance of each of the points with your given sets of the cluster. Whichever is giving the minimum distance, I am going to assign the instance to that particular cluster. Okay, like suppose if I'm getting the minimum distance of your data point 1 with your cluster 2, so in that case I'm going to assign the data point 1 to your cluster 2. Next, once you are done with the assignment, that means once you are done with the assignment of all of the point to the respective cluster, next we are going to refine our cluster centroid for your next iteration. That is going to be based upon the number of the points which are a part of your same cluster. So based upon that only we are going to create this cluster center. Okay, going to refine our cluster center. Okay, next we are going to repeat this process till your termination criteria is not satisfied. So that also we will see what could be your termination criteria. So first we are starting with your initial cluster select is like these are your initial cluster center selection. Now based upon that I am going to assign these point to one of the cluster. So this is your second step. I have assigned some of the point to your red cluster, some of the point to your blue cluster. In the next step, I'm going to refine my cluster center. So this is your refinement. After refinement, again, I am going to reassign all of the point to different cluster based upon your minimum distance. So this process we are going to repeat till your termination criteria is not satisfied. And at the end, you will have these sets of the cluster, and all these sets of the cluster will be a part of one cluster. Okay, so that you can see like based upon like first we are starting with your random placement of your cluster centroid. Now based upon your random placement, I am going to create the cluster center, and iteration by iteration I am adjusting my cluster center based upon the adjustment. The reassignment of your points is going to happen. Like here in this case, some of the points were part of your green, now at the end it is part of your this blue one. Some of the points which were part of your this blue, now at the final stage they are part of your red cluster. So this way your k-mean clustering algorithm is working. So let's see this with a numerical example. So suppose here we are having 19 points. So as I said, in the initial phase, I needed to select the cluster center. So here I have selected cluster center 1, that is your 16, and the cluster center 2, and that is your 22. Okay. Now in order to define which of the points are more closer to your one of the clusters, so for that you are having different distance measures, like Euclidean distance is also there, Mahanta and Minkowski. So these are different distance measure, you can use any of them. So here we are simply using here just for the simplicity, we are just considering the absolute difference between your point and your cluster center. Other variants you can also try. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to calculate the distance of each of the point. This I is basically representing the instance number. So we are going to calculate the distance of each of the point with both of the cluster, and whichever is giving the minimum, I'm going to assign this I instance to that particular cluster. It could be this I could be assigned to your 1 also, or it could be assigned to your 2 also, based upon the minimum distance which you are observing. So like these are your points, these are your 19 points, and these all are your cluster 1, and this is your clusters 2. So first what we have done is we have simply calculated the difference of this first instance with your cluster 1, next your first instance with your cluster 2. So as you can see here, we are getting for your cluster 1 I am getting difference 1, and for your cluster 2 I am getting difference 7. So this 7 is the largest one, and this one is the smallest one. So that's why this first point is going to be a part of your cluster 1. The same we are going to do with your 15 also. In that case also it's although the same, so it's going to be 1. Here in this case it was 16 itself, so 1. In the other case, suppose if we are taking the 35, so we are going to calculate the distance of 35 with your 66 also and 22 also. So in this case it is giving 19 and here it is giving 13. So 13 is the smaller one, so the smallest one, so we are going to assign this point to your cluster 2. Okay, now based upon this we are okay, we are going to refine our cluster centroid with respect to cluster 1 also and with respect to cluster 2 also. Okay, now once you are done with your cluster refinement, next again these points are going to be your cluster center. So these points are your cluster center. This is your cluster center 1 and this is your cluster center 2. Again I am going to calculate the difference. In this case this one is having the minimum, so it's going to be 1. Here in this case also 1 1. In this case also it is 1 1. Now earlier these points were part of your cluster 2, but now as we have refined our cluster center, so now these are the instead of 1, these are going to be part of your cluster 1. So because these points are having minimum distance with respect to your cluster 1, so that's why it is going to be cluster number 1, and rest of the points are part of your cluster 2. Again I am going for the refinement, and that refinement is going to be based upon all these points which are a part of your cluster 1, and this refinement is going to be based upon these points which are a part of your cluster 2. So this process we are going to repeat it like in the previous case. In the iteration 1, the new centroid was this, and your next iteration we are getting the same centroid. Means there is no reassignment you can say, or no change in your clusterings. Means the we are not able to observe a single change. We are not able to observe like the in the previous case also the assignment was this one only, so the cluster center was that. The assignment for your cluster 2 was this much only, so your cluster assignment, so the cluster centroid is this. In the next case also it is your same one because of the same assignment. Okay, so we are not able to observe any change between this iteration 3 and 4, so that means there is no movement. As there is no movement, so we can stop it. So this is one of the criteria to stop your k-mean cluster. Okay, now the another thing which is related to your k-mean clustering is its convergence. Based upon your initial selection, the point possibly the point is going to converge to your local optimum solution, or it could be a global optimum. So this is going to depend upon what selection you have made. Like suppose this is your space, and in this space your most of the cluster center at this point, at your this side. So here you are able to see these has been identified as your one cluster. These were considered as the part of the another cluster, and these whole are considered as a part of your another cluster. In your next selection, so these are going to be a part of your one cluster. These are a part of your another cluster, and here these are a part of your another cluster. So as you can see, based upon your selection of your cluster centroid, the creation of your cluster is going to be different. So this k-mean clustering is quite sensitive towards the selection of your initial cluster centroid. Like if you are selecting the cluster centroid in this area only, so possibly it is not going to create very well, means it is not going to create very well clusters, means it is not going to create very good clusters. Okay, but if your cluster center are quite spread in the space, so possibly it is going to create the well separated, and means it is going to create the cluster in very well manner. Okay, so this also matters in case of your case. The main thing is here is the initial selection of your cluster center is very important in case of your k-mean clustering. Okay, so as we have already seen in the initial it was like this, and if you are selecting this cluster centroid, so the formation of your cluster is like this. Okay, so it's quite sensitive towards the cluster selection. So now in order to do it smartly, means in order to like your cluster should be not like this, means all the points are placed here, as it is looking like the same cluster has been divided into the two cluster. Because of okay, I was not knowing that I got disconnected. Okay, I'm going to start with this gaming clustering only because I did. Okay. We're going to start with that. Okay. So now, so in here, what I was saying is like in case of your k-mean clustering algorithm, first we needed to define the how many cluster we want. So here here I want to create two clusters. So that's why. Uh, okay, so first we have started with this two cluster. Next, we need to select the cluster centroid. So here I have randomly selected 2 point as my cluster centroid. So these are 16 and 22. Next, in order to test which of the point is closer to which of the cluster, means which of the point should be a part of which cluster. So in order to do this, either we can work with the similarity measures or we can work with the distance measure, but here we are going to cover this one with the distance measure. And just for your information, like we are having different distance measure, like your Minkowski distance is there, Euclidean distance is there, Manhattan distance or city block distance is there, and in your similarity cosine similarity is there. So you can work with any of them. Here we are here I'm going to use this simple distance, just the absolute distance, so that we can easily formulate what is going on. So that's why here we are simply working with the absolute difference of your actual point and your cluster center. Okay. So this I here is representing your instance, ith instance, basically it is representing. So I'm going to calculate the distance of ith instance with your cluster center 1 and ith instance with your cluster center 2. So whichever is giving the minimum distance, I'm going to assign this ith point to that particular cluster. Okay. Like here, we are having these 19 instances, and these six, C1 and C2 are basically representing your cluster center. Next, we are going to calculate the distance of each of the point with both of the cluster. Like here in this case, in case of first case, the distance with respect to cluster 1 is 1, and with respect to cluster 2 it is your 7. Okay, so as this 1 is the minimum one, so this first point is going to be a part of your 1 cluster. In case of 16, the minimum distance you are having the with your respect to your cluster 1, so that's why it is a part of your cluster 1. Like suppose if we take the example of your 16, like suppose if we take the example of your 16, I am going to calculate the distance with your 16 also and 22 also. So here in this case I am getting this 45 as my distance and 39 as my distance. So 39 is the minimum one, so I am going to calculate it. So it's going to be a cluster 2, because cluster 2 is having the minimum distance. Next, for your next iteration I am going to refine my cluster center. So if I'm going for the refinement of my cluster center, so in that case I'm going to consider those points which are part of your same cluster. So here in this case, the point 1, point 2 and point 3 all are part of your same cluster. So in order to calculate it, we are going to use these points. So it's going to be 15 plus 15 plus 16 divided by 3, so it's going to give you this point. And in the next, these I'm going to calculate the average of this, so it's going to give you this point. Now in the next iteration, I am going to use these points as my cluster center. So and now again going to calculate it. So this 3 is the same as we were having for this previous example also. But these points were, in the previous case, these points were part of your cluster 2. But here in this case, now the cluster, it is these points are part of your cluster 1. Okay. Now, as these points are now, instead of having only 3 points, now these points as these points of your part of your cluster 1. So, in order to calculate the centroid for the next, we are going to calculate the summation, basically averaging of all these points. Okay. So, so from 15.33, it has changed to your 18.56. And from 36.25, it has changed to your 45.9. Now in the next, again there are some adjustment in your cluster, some reassignment of your points. So now this I think 28, earlier 28 were a part of your cluster 2, now it has changed. So that's why the number of the points which were a part of your cluster 1 has increased, and here it has reduced. Again I'm calculating it, I'm getting 19.5, here I'm getting 47.5. Okay, now in the next one, what I'm getting for 95.5 and 47.89. As you can see, there is no change between your iteration 1 and iteration 3 and iteration 4. So now that is at this point we can stop. So this we can consider as one of the stopping criteria for your k-mean cluster. Okay, if there is no reassignment of your points, so if there is no reassignment, so there will be no change in your cluster center. And if there is no change in your cluster center, so again even in next iteration also the placement is going to be same. So we can use this criteria to stop your k-mean clustering. Okay. Now the next point is related to the selection of your initial cluster center, because this is the starting point of your K-mean clustering. the selection of your cluster center, and it is also going to affect your final result also. Okay, like suppose this is the space that, for example, consider this whole as your space. Okay, the distribution of your points are given in this space. Now suppose this is one of the selection, like this point I'm selecting as a cluster 1, this point I'm selecting as a cluster 2, this point I'm selecting as a cluster 3. So if I'm using this point as my initial cluster center, so this is the placement. If I'm considering the another selection, so in that case this is the placement. I'm not able to. Okay, so this is the placement. If I'm going for the third selection, so this is the placement. So as you can see, based upon your selection, your final cluster is also going to be different. Okay. Now, what the advantage or disadvantage? What are the disadvantage we are having with this? Like suppose if we are selecting your cluster centered within this region only. So if you're performing selection within this region, so possibly you are not able to reveal the true structure. True structure, that means the points which should be a part of your same cluster possibly going to be divided into the different cluster, like in the previous case. Like as we have selected these two cluster centers, so now as although the points were looking like the although it were looking like these points should be a part of your same cluster, but because of this selection it has divided into your two cluster, and this whole has been considered as a part of your one cluster. Okay, so instead of just going with your random selection of your cluster center, if we select it smartly, so possibly we are able to create, or if we are able to reveal the true structure of your clusters. So the one way to do this is your k-mean plus plus. So the main concept of your k-mean plus plus is, internally it is going to be same as your k-mean. Like in case of k-mean, first we are selecting the cluster center, next we are calculating the distance of each of the points with your cluster center. Next, after calculating the distance, next based upon the minimum distance, we are going for the assignment, and then we are going to repeat it. Okay, so the same concept we are also going to have in your k-mean cluster, but the only difference is the way we are selecting the initial cluster center. This is different. Like in case of your k-mean, we are just randomly selecting the points without using any concept, just random selection is there. So now based upon the random selection, possibly you're going to reveal the true structure, sometime possibly you are not able to. It is going to be 50%. It's going to be positive side, it's going to result you a positive thing, or it's going to be a negative one also. So in case of a k-mean plus plus, that selection we are going to do smartly. So how we are doing it, like here in case of your k-mean plus plus, first we are selecting any of the point as my cluster center. Just one cluster center I am selecting. Now in order to select my next cluster center, I am going to calculate the distance of each of the point with your selected cluster center, and whichever point is giving the maximum distance, that point I am going to select as my next cluster center. Like here in this case, suppose this is your first selection. Now I want to select the next cluster center, for next cluster center. So what I will do, I will calculate the distance of each of the point with my existing cluster, and whichever is giving the maximum distance, that I'm going to select it. So like suppose this point is having the maximum distance, so the next cluster center is going to be that point. Next, in order to select the next cluster center, again I'm going to calculate the distance of each of the point with the existing cluster center, and whichever is giving the maximum distance, that point we are going to select as my next cluster center. And this we are going to repeat it till we are not getting the k number of the cluster, because this k mean clustering is going to start once you are done with your once you are done with the selection, once you are done with the uh, this k means you have fixed this k and the k cluster centroid. So if you are having k cluster center, then only it is going to start. So this k means plus plus initialization step is going to work till the point you are not selecting the k number of cluster center. Like suppose here in this case, suppose the number of k is equals to 3, so at that point I can stop. And suppose the number of the k is your 4, So in that case, I need to go for one more iteration. So like suppose again I will go for the calculation of the distance of each of the point with each of the cluster center, and whichever is giving the maximum distance, that I'm going to select. Suppose this is giving the maximum distance, so that point I'm going to select as my next cluster center, and that we are going to repeat till we are not getting the k number of cluster center, which is your defined parameter. So that we have seen that we have already covered how this k-mean plus plus is working. That means first we are starting with the selection of your first we are selecting any of the point as my cluster center, that random selection we are doing. Next we are going to compute the distance of each of the point to the cluster center, and whichever is having the maximum distance, that we are going to do. And that we are going to repeat this second step and third step till we are not getting your k number of clusters. And after you are done with your k classes selection, next it is going to work as your k means is working. Okay. Now next question is like we are having different, like as we have seen based upon your initial cluster center selection, the uh, the final cluster which you are creating is going to be different. Now once you are done with the cluster creation, now for different cluster center you can have different clusters. Now how could select which one is the best one? That means we need some value in order to quantify, with your quantity I should able to test it which one is the better one. So one of the way to test is your sum of square error. So basically in case of your sum of square error, which should be the minimum one, means the distance, as I said, in case of your clustering, we needed to place the document, you can say, or the instances to the cluster which is giving the minimum distance. So the points which are part of your same cluster should be the as close as possible. So if they are as close as possible, so the distance is going to be minimum one, and if it is quite different, so in that case it is going to maximize the distance. So this k-mean clustering is going to work on the sum of square error. So this sum of square error basically calculated with respect to each cluster, and at the end we are going to report it with respect to all clusters. So how we are calculating with respect to each cluster? So it's going to be simply a difference of your cluster center and the points which are assigned to that particular cluster. Like suppose if you are having three cluster center, so first I am going to calculate the distance of each of the points which are present in your cluster 2, each of the point which is present in your cluster 3, each of the point which is present in your cluster 1. And at the end, I am going to perform the summation of all three. So this is going to give you sum of square error. Whichever cluster is giving you minimum sum of square error, that cluster is the uh, better one. Like here in this case, if we calculate the distance between the clusters within the cluster, so for this I will get the minimum value. For this also I will get the minimum, but for this one it is going to be a maximum one, as we are performing the summation. So in whole somewhat it is going to be maximum, but here in this case, although it is quite maximum compared to this, maximum compared to this, and third one is going to be this, but in whole if you see, it's going to be somewhat minimum compared to this, because this has contributed a lot in your calculation. Okay, so based upon this criteria we can select. Visually we can see it, but if you want to quantify it, so this is the way to quantify it. Means how accurate your clustering is. So sum of square error is one of the way to select it. Now in case of your k-mean clustering, like as I said, we need to specify the number of the cluster. Like suppose for some of the cases we know what should be the number of the cluster, but in some of the cases we don't know what should be the number of the cluster. So that means I needed to define it. Okay, so either you can select a very large number of the cluster, or you can select a very small number of the cluster, or it could be in between also. But if we are with respect to small cluster selection, means a small number of the cluster selection, in that case there could be some advantage, could be disadvantage also. And if you are selecting it very large, so in that case also you are going to have some advantage and disadvantage with respect to that one also. Like suppose if you are selecting very small, the value of your k is very small, like suppose if it is your 1, so in that case you haven't created any cluster at all. Or if it is your 2, so possibly, uh, suppose you, in your data set, for example, suppose that you are having 5 number of the clusters, that should be the number of the cluster should be 5, but you have selected 2. So that means some of the cluster which should be considered, some of the instances which should be considered as a part of the different cluster, now you have clubbed it in wrongly, you have clubbed it, those number of the instances in your same cluster. So this problem you are having when we are selecting it very small. But when you are selecting very large, so in that case also, it could be a problem, like suppose the number of the instances is your 100, and in that case if you are selecting k equals to 100, so that means in that case also you haven't created any, you basically you are not able to actually reveal the information, or you are not able to capture the information which is present in your instances. So we are having both advantage and disadvantage with respect to your k cluster. If you are increasing k, your sum of square arrays is going to reduce, but if you are increasing it, so in that case you are not able to cover the true structure which is present in your which is present in your data set. Okay, so in order to get it this k automatically, there is one method that is known as your elbow method. So basically in case of your elbow method, you are trying to run your k-mean clustering with different number of the k. Like suppose first I have run with first I have run with this number, means one number of the cluster, next I have run with two, next three, four, five, this way I have run it. Okay, now as you can see, once I run with your one, next I have run with your 2, so there is large difference. When I am running with your 3, there is a small difference, and after that you are observing very small difference. So wherever you are observing this small difference between the previous, and it means between your previous cluster selection and your the current one, so that point I can use it to fix my cluster. So that point I can choose as my cluster center. So this is one of the way to select my cluster center. Okay, and how and why it is okay. One more thing is why it is increasing. Why the cluster? Why the sum of a square array is decreasing? Like all of the points are placed into the same cluster. So you will have even the points. Like suppose this is the point, and here you are having. So like if we are placing all these points in a one cluster, so as these points are quite far away from these points, so it is going to contribute a lot in your sum of square error. But if you are dividing into your two, so this contribution is going to reduce. So that's why as we are increasing the number of the clusters, so the see the sum of square error is also decreasing. Like suppose if I select it, suppose we are having six number of the instances, so suppose if I'm selecting as 6, so there is no difference, there is no error in assignment. There is, means if I am calculating the distance of myself with the point with itself, so there is no difference, so it's going to be a zero. Like suppose there are 10 instances and all, and here I have increased my number of the cluster till your 10, so in that case somewhat I am going to get this zero error. Now another way. Okay, so another way to quantify the performance of your clustering algorithm, or even that you can also use to perform your selection of your cluster center, is the Celotti coefficient. This Celotti coefficient is based upon two concepts: cohesion and separation. Cohesion, that means compactness, means average distance of the point within the same cluster, and separation means isolation, you can say, or the difference of a point from the different clusters. So this is representing the difference within a cluster, so it's your cohesion, and this is representing the distance of each distance of this point with respect to the other cluster instances. So this is representing your separation. So this Celotti coefficient is based upon these two concepts only, and this way we are calculating it. This B is representing the within distance, with the average distance of the point within a cluster, and this B is representing the distance of the point from different cluster. Okay, so now if this is the one of the way to calculate it, or you can write this same thing in this way also. If this difference of this if this ax is less than bx, so you can use this formula. If it is equal, means the point is at your border line, it could be a part of your one cluster also, in the another cluster also, so you can use this. And if the ax is greater than that, greater than your b, then in that case you can also use this. So this either you can use this formula or you can use this formula. It's not going to affect the result. It is, or both are the same thing. Okay. Now, in case of Celotti value, the value of your Celotti is going to vary between -1 to +1. -1, that means bad clusters you have created. +1 is the very good, and this -1 is basically representing the bad cluster, and this one is representing your good cluster. These are some of the limitation of your k-mean clustering. Like we need to specify the number of the cluster in case of your k-mean clustering. Next one is like based upon your initial selection. It is based upon your initial selection. This the k-mean clustering is going to converge. It is quite sensitive towards your outlier or noisy point, because here we are forcing each of the point to be a part of your one cluster. So if we are forcing even the noise, like suppose these are your clusters, these are your points. Okay, and suppose this is one of the point. So here what we are doing is, in case of a k-mean, each point should be a part of your one of the clusters. So suppose if I'm placing it here, so in your next calculation of a cluster centroid, so because of the effect of this point, possibly your cluster center is going to move into this direction. So as so basically, or actually it should be within this range now, but because of this noisy point, it has shifted toward this direction. So noisy point is this k-mean clustering is affected by your noisy point. Now next problem with your k-mean clustering is, if the cluster are different in shape, like like suppose this is the one of the structure, and this is the one of the structure, or if this kind of the structure we are having, so your k-mean clustering is not able to deal with this. If it is not spherical, or if it is not in well in shape, so in that case k-mean clustering is not going to work. Even the clusters are having very different density, so that information also we are not able to, this thing is also not able, we are not able to deal with your k-mean cluster. So these problems we are having in your k-mean cluster. So let's see some okay, let's see the code. Okay, we are not having much time. This in case of your Python, we can use this function k-mean in order to create the cluster. So here you just need to supply, you need to supply the number of the clusters, and after specifying the number of the cluster, you need to fit your instances based upon this number of the clusters. So these two are main steps for your k-mean clustering. So based upon that, it is going to give you results. So these points are basically representing your cluster center, because my x was 2D in nature, means for each instances we were having the two features, so that's why this is also looking the two. And as the number of the clusters were three, so that's why we are having three cluster center. And now based upon that, each of the points has been placed into the one of the clusters. So this 0 is representing cluster 1, this is representing your cluster 2, and this is representing your cluster 3. So this is the placement. Now, as I the one thing which we have covered, your elbow method. So let's see that part. So now you can run your K-mean clustering algorithm with different sets of the clusters. With different sets of the cluster you can run, and based upon that you can select which of the point, from which point you are getting the minimum difference. So like here in this case, you are having the minimum difference. Just I'm going to bind up just one more thing I want to show. Like this Celotti also you can use to define the number of the cluster. Like for your k equals to 2, this is the result. For your k equals to 3, this is the distribution. For your k equals to 4, this is the distribution. For 5, we are getting this distribution, and you are having these values. So as in this case, the k equals to 2, it is giving the better value. So that I can go with. This for this data set we are having this pattern. For you another data set you will have the different pattern. So that you can also test. Okay, so that's all from my side. We are only able to complete this K-mean clustering. Now we can bind up, or if we are having time, so I can continue with this. Alright, okay, there is question. Question is whether clustering can be applied for 3D data set for the classification. Like suppose this, as in this case, I have covered your k-mean clustering where we were having only one feature. So that you can also extend it for your 2 or 3 or even more than that. Like here in this case, here in this case, instead of having the one feature, here we are having two features. For you this x, you were having two features like this. You can see here we are having two features. So yes, it is possible to extend it very easily. You can extend it to the multiple dimensions. And if you are having any problem related to this clustering classification, so the email ID which I have already shared in some of the lectures, so you can mail me also. So you can mail me also if you are having. So now we can stop, or
Thank you so much, ma'am,
thank you.
for some valuable topic to share with us. So thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Participants, kindly join next session at 10:30. So please be on time.